Friday. I don't know what date it is. But anyways, leaving an appointment right now in San Ramon. This guy's selling his house. And so basically just measured out pretty much the entire house minus the kitchen, which has tile. He's gonna leave. But essentially wants LVP for the entire downstairs and all of upstairs, 3 bathrooms, and then recommended we keep the carpet on these stairs. Anyways, proposal came out to right around 15,000, but he is not ready. We'll see if there's something I can do. I can probably get that price down a little bit, but anyways, that seems to be sort of the average now. The average of my proposals are around 15,000, give or take, right? But anyways, let's see, let's jump in. All right, what's stressing me out this week? Man, stock market, that's an easy one to talk about. That's just, for some reason, it just kind of keeps sitting there still. It might have actually broken some new records today, but anyways, it's right around that all-time highs. No concerns there. What have I not touched on? Dude, one thing that's kind of stressing us out is we have 2 of our 4 Las Vegas properties, long-term rentals, where the tenants have fallen behind. One dude's been behind twice now for a couple of months. We had to file an eviction notice, and basically I think his sister supposedly called us and gave us what I'm calling the excuses for why, their rent's way behind. And we're like, dude, we don't got time for this. We got mortgages to pay, and so no, you pay up, don't play it again, or that's it. There's no second options here. So we'll see what happens. They did pay. Then a second house, this woman that, man, we gave her a chance. Her credit was a little bit on the lower end. But anyways, we had a good conversation with her, beginning of the year, and let her move in. And, of course, she's late, didn't pay, filed an eviction notice. Now, she's got her mom reaching out to Jazzy, saying a bunch of stuff, getting all upset. And, so spent some time yesterday drafting a message too, similarly, where it's like, look, we're not trying to go back and forth a bunch of times here, so just figure it out, or get evicted. And for sure we'll be going after the payments either way, and it's going to impact your credit. So there's all that fun work, right? You kind of hope that you can find some good tenants, right? But there it is again, right? You want to be a landlord, you want to be in the real estate game, unless you hire a bunch of people and then pay them a bunch of money. This is the kind of stuff you got to go through. So 2 tenants out of 4 we might have to evict, and then the third tenant reached out maybe a week or 2 ago saying like, I might be late this month, and it's like, come on, really? So anyways, that's kind of stressing us out a bit. And then I'm already like, last time I talked about the Airbnb stuff, that's a huge stress. Airbnb's making some changes to the way they collect fees. They used to collect 3%, give or take, from the guests. Now they're shifting that to be, they're not going to charge the guests. Instead, they're going to charge the owners or the hosts, and they're jumping it up to 15%. So tons of people are freaking out, especially people where the margins were already squeezed. I've already talked about it, right? It's it's a margin game, right? Most of the time, depending on the business you're in, most of the time, most businesses, it's a margin game, right? You got to figure out what your margins are, and then you got to figure out how to squeeze them a little bit, right? And so here, it's the opposite. If you're already tight on your margins, you're already kind of feeling the pressure, here comes Airbnb with a monopoly on the market, and I think it's going to be bad for a lot of people. For the people that got good interest rates and bought their homes, at a reasonable price, at least maybe 2+ years ago, that's where we're in on most of our homes that we own. we're gonna be okay, assuming we don't need heavy cash flow. But for anybody else that was already, perhaps paying out of pocket a little bit, man, they're gonna be paying a lot more out of pocket starting with next week. So I'll let you guys know how that one plays out. I got a couple of strategies, but I'm not going to deep dive on those today. And then, getting back to the flooring business. Oh man, I had to put some more money in, some more operating cash into the business just this week. I completed one job and they haven't paid me yet, so this is one of those things where it's like, man, you hope everything just goes smooth, and even the things that you don't think are going to go smooth, you kind of hope that they're going to be okay, and then some of the stuff you kind of didn't think about, or what I didn't think about, great, finished the job. It's not the end of the world, it's a couple $1,000s, but hey, that's a couple $1,000, and they're not paying me. It's the property manager. So I pinged her a few times that I worked with. She's like, oh, I sent it over to the people that are, supposed to be paying it, and they're just not paying it. So it's the old trick, right? I'm sure I've done it. I'm sure other people have done it too, right? It's like, hey, if I don't have to pay it now, why would I pay it? So I got to figure out a way to get that paid. But little things like that, of course, those things add up. But no, the main thing that stressed me out this week is, last week I had a good number of appointments. This week I kind of feel like, I had some good appointments. I just left another one now, but I'm still just taking way too long on writing up the proposals and then getting them over to the customer. And it's, I have that worry, right? I have the worry about, well, I don't want to make a big mistake. And for some of these projects, again, when we're talking $15,000 projects, that's where the worry comes in, where if I'm off on something or I forget to order something, then, that's going to either it's going to give me a bad review, or I got to pay out of pocket. It's going to delay the job. So I feel like there are valid reasons for me not to want to make a mistake. Whereas on a small job, a $3,000 carpet job, to me, that doesn't seem like it's the most expensive thing in the world. I get it, it's still $3,000. But I can see why, okay, you make a little bit of a mistake and I got to pay out of pocket. Okay, hopefully I'm not going to have to pay too much out of pocket. But on a $15,000, $20,000 job, you make a mistake, you might be paying out of pocket quite a bit. For example, the one proposal that's taken me a lot of time is, it's a commercial space. Can't remember if I talked about it last week. It's a gut remodel, new business owner coming in is going to build out a hair salon, and there's a ton of demo in there. They haven't put the walls in yet, so I'm like doing math off of blueprints for baseboards for the perimeter of all the stuff, but then there's a ton of other stuff that has to go into the labor side. The product side, ordering that stuff, no, I got it down. The labor, man, I don't want to get that wrong. That could easily be one, I forget something and I forgot to order this. Okay, that might be $1,000 out of pocket. Oh, I forgot to order this. That's another $1,000 out of pocket. Oh, the labor came in short. Whoa, wait a minute. The labor on that job is probably $6,000. So if I make a mistake there, again, who knows, right? So anyways, that's the big stress. I'm just taking way too long. I feel like I'm in a good place, but I'm taking way too long on drafting these proposals. I now have 5 proposals to write, like right now. Get them out. I got to follow up with some other clients. I'm just feeling way behind. Same thing I probably talked about last week. It's probably going to be a consistent theme. I am just feeling way, way behind. Outside of that, the money, trying to remember if I talked about it last week too, but I made that switch from, I was going to go and get the small business administration loan, which of course would have eaten into, my profits, cash flow, break even, you name it, all the things. But it's leverage, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to leveraging everything, right? So that I'm not using cash or using my own money out of pocket. But I made the decision, and so I'm going through the process now of taking out money out of my 401k to fund. And so that is kind of, it's kind of put me in a spot where I keep going back and forth, and I'm like, is that really what you want to do? You want to take out a good chunk of cash out of your 401k, which technically, set it and forget it, let it double every 7 years. That's a pretty big amount in 14 years, which in 15 years is technically when I'd be able to touch it, without penalty. But again, the math that I did is, well, wait a minute. The exact math actually comes out to, assuming S&P 500 10% doubles every 7 years, then that money in 15 years, if I took out 5%, would pay about this amount every year, comfortably, without touching the principal. Take that money out today, use that to fund my flooring business, and technically, hopefully within a year or two, I can get the flooring business to get to a space where it will pay out more than what I'll get in 15 years. And I'll get that from now for the next 15 years until I retire. And then I can exit, perhaps sell this business or whatnot. So that's the plan. So technically, I do think over the lifetime, I'll earn way more money. I'll have way more income, and or I'll just, grow the overall capital way more by using it today to inject into my business versus leaving it and hoping that, it's going to grow the way it should over the next 15 years. So I'm feeling good with the decision. But it's for sure causing some additional pain, because now when I was going to go with the SBA, I was able to open up, and what I did is I started an S Corp, right? And the S Corp Act is very similar to an LLC, where all the income that the S Corp makes technically is considered my income. So I can just move money back and forth, right? I go withdraw money out of that S Corp business bank account. It's an owner distribution. I'm taking money out, right? And then I can just, if I need to later, I can move some more money in. I'll just call it owner contribution. It's pretty simple. Now that I'm touching my 401k, it's going to get heavily regulated. So I had to create a new C Corp, where I am no longer the owner. Personally, I'm no longer the owner of this C Corp. Instead, my 401k is funding 100% of this business, which means my 401k is the owner. It's going to own 100% of all the shares that are being created. And I now just become an employee. So technically, I'm not the owner. I am the CEO. I'm the CEO of this new business. And then I will just take a salary, right? And I get to dictate what the salary is, right? So technically, I still make the money, but there's just more scrutiny. Like, I can't just move money in and out. It's got to be done through payroll. I got to pay the payroll taxes and all this other stuff. Then the interesting thing is, my entity, I had to create a new entity, so that's costing some money. I have to go fill out a bunch of new forms. I got to move my contractor's license. I got to fill out a form and pay for that, because that's, my license has to be now attached to the new business. I got to fill out, a new doing business as fictitious business name statement. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a ton of other things that I now have to do to essentially, shut down my old S Corp that I created and ran for 5-6 months, and now create a new C Corp. And I have to do that. And of course, it's going to create some additional downstream impact on my bookkeeper that now has to go and make the money legitimately work. So lots of little things that I'm stressing out about. But it is what it is. I think I have a pretty healthy, and I'm generally pretty good in terms of having that long-term mindset, right? I know what the plan is. I know what the timeline looks like. And I've got goalposts that are set. They're pretty aggressive, but I also know if I miss one or I'm delayed on one, right, I know what the impact is going to be. So that's where I'm comfortable. Jazzy, I mean, she just want to start a new franchise too. So, if we're just talking like stress by itself, I have a new non-profitable business. Jazzy now has a new non-profitable business, and we have an Airbnb business, where Airbnb is trying to squeeze us. And then of course we have, our other investments that, have issues as well. And so there is a lot of stress just in the overall system, right? Working 7 days a week, Saturdays and Sundays, there's no joke, right? It's like you get up, of course you get, I don't work as many hours, but man, the difference of having a W-2 income job and just being accustomed to that for 25 years and just pulling the plug and making that move, it's just, man, it's night and day. It's crazy, and I kind of thought what I was going to get myself into. The fact that I've, had the investments and have been a business owner in the past certainly helps. For anybody else that's kind of thinking, like, oh, how hard can it be? Or even thinking, yeah, I know it's going to be really hard, but they don't have business ownership experience. They've only had W-2, especially if you haven't been a people manager for that long and you don't have that experience. That for sure will add additional stress if you don't know how to manage people. So, anyways, I can see I just hit 15 minutes, but try to keep these light. Obviously, these are unscripted, so I got no notes. I'm sure there's other stuff that I was stressed out about all week that I'm not even talking about. But I guess if there's any comments or something you want me to dig into, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to ramble on about the stuff that's stressing me out. Peace.